Duke, Houston. Duke is a 4.5-point favorite against Houston. Houston playing only a few hours from their campus. They didn't have to fly to this Final Four, just not too far from them. I still don't think it's going to be like a massive Houston crowd. I feel like it's going to be very split. I feel like it might actually be majority Auburn fans. I feel like they're going to buy up the most tickets, to be honest. They travel so well. It's going to be a lot of Duke, a lot of Auburn. I think Florida's probably going to have the least, but I don't know a lot of Houston fans, so we'll find out. We'll get there in San Antonio. So anyhow, Houston Duke 4.5-point favorite in this game. There's a few things that this game comes down to. If you're watching this for the first time on YouTube or anything or on TikTok, whatever, go subscribe first off. And then second off, look, I am a Duke fan, grew up a Duke fan and everything, but I can be unbiased about this stuff, and I understand Houston is just such a good team. I think the only way Houston wins this game, it'll come down to how this game is officiated. And if this game is not, if they're calling things tight and they're calling fouls and, the way Houston plays defense, obviously super physical, Juwan Roberts gets into foul trouble early because he's likely going to be guarding Cooper Flagg, that's a disaster for Houston. If the refs are letting things play and, it's a bit of a rock fight and Houston can muck it up a little bit, I think that is their only way to win this game. They got to get Cooper Flagg into foul trouble early, and then they also have to be able to play physical defense and not get called for ticky-tack fouls every 5 seconds. And then Emmanuel Sharp has to play. If Emmanuel Sharp, Uzan, and LJ Cryer, 2 out of 3 of those have to play the best games of their careers. They can do that. They can. Emmanuel Sharp can go off for 25. LJ Cryer can go for 30. Do I think it happens in this game? I don't. I really don't. LJ Cryer, we've seen what Duke does to smaller guards. One of the only smaller guards this entire season that had real success against this Duke defense was RJ Davis. He went nuclear against this team, especially in Chapel Hill, and it still didn't matter. Duke still won that game. RJ Davis went nuclear in the second half against Duke in the ACC tournament without Cooper Flagg. It still didn't matter. And you go, why? Well, Duke's so big. Their length, it's a problem. Team coaches and recruiting staffs and GMs and ADs are going to look at this Duke team and go, we got to build out a team that has a bunch of 6'5" guys and can shoot. It's impossible if you're going to do. I mean, BYU's trying to do it right now, and you have to have a ton of money and get these guys who are NBA caliber dudes. But Duke's size is such a problem for these small guards. LJ Cryer is going to get attacked every single time down the court. You watch what happened to Mark Sears in that Alabama game. The same thing's going to happen to LJ Cryer against Houston. He is going to get singled out every single time possible. And if Houston switches everything and LJ Cryer ends up having to guard Con Knipple on a switch or Cooper Flagg on a switch, it's going to be a disaster. But even if he has to go one-on-one with Tyrese Proctor, who's a 6'5", 6'6" guard who can drive to the paint and handle the ball. Sion James, he's 6'5", 6'6", Duke's smallest player. He is built like a truck. This guy's an F-250 going down the paint. And so LJ Cryer is going to have a tough time in this game. And I just think Duke's size is going to be a problem here. And you look at Houston, it's tough to say because they've had such a great year. But you go back to their losses. Okay, who are the teams that gave them fits? It was teams that had length and could also shoot the ball. Now, San Diego State, not a great shooting team. But you look at the teams Houston's lost to this season. Granted, most of them were in overtime, close games and everything, so put that out there. But you look at San Diego State, Auburn, Alabama, Texas Tech. These are very lengthy teams. These are teams that can switch. They have a ton of length, and especially in the paint as well. They have rim protectors, and that's a problem for Houston. Nobody has that more than Duke. I just think Houston has to play their A++ game, and even if Houston plays an A+ game, I still think Duke's B- game beats them. That's how much I feel like this Duke team, and I'm typically a pessimistic Duke fan. And when I look at the matchups here, I go, well, you look at the size differences, and then I don't think, people are going to say with Duke is, oh, well, they've had an easy schedule this year. Who have they played? And, they haven't played in close games. Well, maybe it just turns into a UConn thing where they don't have to play super close games. Maybe that's what it is. And also, Duke's played a couple close games. Wake Forest was tight a little bit down the stretch. Duke just pulled away at the end. Okay, you look at you go all the way back to Kansas, Kentucky. Well, Cooper Flagg was very young then and whatnot. And people, you can point out the Clemson game. Look, there's a wet spot on the floor. If there's not a wet spot, Cooper Flagg probably goes and gets that layup, and Duke sends that game to overtime, or maybe even wins that game. So I think that's tough. And also the people that are saying, oh, who's Duke played? Well, they just went out and beat arguably the third best team in the SEC. Not arguably. They beat the third best team in the SEC by 20 points, and Cooper Flagg probably played his worst offensive game of the season. So there's that. They also went out and beat the second or third best team in the Big 12 in Arizona. No problem. Got whatever they wanted. Scored triple digits in that game. So for Houston, they're going to have to shoot lights out. They're just going to have to make so many tough shots. And this is the one Houston team under the Kelvin Sampson era that I think can do that. They can make a ton of tough threes, especially with Emmanuel Sharp, the way Uzan's been playing, LJ Cryer. But I just think Duke's size is too much of a problem for him in this spot. I think they're going to double team Cooper Flagg. They do those super, super intense double teams, trap him immediately, and Cooper Flagg can pass out of those double teams. And if you leave one of these shooters open, all of a sudden, I think this is going to be a big Isaiah Evans game, because I think they're going to double so much, and then Evans is going to find himself wide open from a swing pass, and he's going to be able to knock down shots. You can't double this Duke team because everybody can kill you on the court. On top of that, Houston's tallest player, 6'9", 6'10", you got to go against Malawach, who's 7'2" in the paint and can basically grab the rim without even jumping. I think this is a rough matchup for Houston, to be honest. My heart says Houston wins this game, and so there's bullcrap calls and whatnot, but my mind's telling me I think Duke wins this game. I think it's going to be it's a really tough matchup for Houston. An unbelievable season. Kelvin Sampson has a wagon there. He has taken over Bill Self as the premier team in the Big 12 somehow, immediately coming from the American. There was no, grace period. There's no, it's going to take time for them to adjust. No, they came in and dominated this conference immediately. Kelvin Sampson, unbelievable coach. This Houston team is unbelievable, but I just think this Duke team is going to be too much, too big, too powerful, and can shoot too well over them. And I think Cooper Flagg's a tough matchup for this Houston team, and I think he has a big game, and I think Duke moves on to the title game. And I think we see a rematch of Duke versus Auburn like we thought we were going to all season up until right before the SEC tournament, when we thought it was going to be Duke, Florida. And we'll see what happens. We'll be doing a national title preview, whoever it is, on Sunday as well. So stay tuned for that as well. But those are my picks. I'm going with Duke over Houston, and I'm going with Auburn over Florida in a technical upset, but it's 1 versus 1. It's a 2.5 point spread. It's not really an upset. But I do like the over in that game. The Duke-Houston game, I'd stay away from the total, to be honest. It all depends on how that game is officiated. If that game's officiated tight and Duke's getting calls when Houston's playing super physical, Houston's got no shot in that game. No shot. Because if Duke's getting to the free throw line and Houston's getting into foul trouble, they're done. They're toast. They're going to have to shoot 50% from three to even be in that type of ball game. And with Duke's size and the way they're going to force Houston into tough shots, I just don't think that happens.